D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I just finished the latest episode of She-Hulk, and I made a joke, I believe it was like episode 3 or whatever, where I called the writer's room, I called them the She-Hulk, the Man-Haters Club. And now I want to just, reinforce that, but also be like She-Hulk, the Woman Haters Club also, because this episode, it's very obvious to me that Jessica Gao, the head writer on this show, and maybe the writers' room in general, I don't think that they really like men. I think that they hate men, but I don't think they like women all that much either. And I also don't think that they like She-Hulk, and they definitely don't like themselves. Because this episode was just like, I mean, I get it that there's toxic people in the world, but I'm sorry, the men in this men are put in a bad light, like always in this show. But in this episode, women are put in a bad light. And it was just very, not unsettling, but it was just like, Jesus. I'm like, are there no good people in your world that you can't write about? I mean, self-insert or whatever you guys do over there in Hollywood, because Jesus, this episode was like, man, the people in Jen's life are assholes. I do want to talk about some other stuff in here, but I really like, I mean, her friends at the wedding were just vomitous, and I'm sorry, like, it's just super annoying, this show. The writing is terrible, and I can't handle it. Like, man, and there's no She-Hulk. That's the thing. We're getting into She-Hulk. We got a She-Hulk show, and in this episode, she shows up once, twice, 3 times a lady. But it's like it's all for naught. It's all for naught. This show is useless. And she even says in here during her one breaking the fourth wall scene, that it's like the pointless self-containing episode with wedding episode. And I'm all like, Jesus Christ, you have to put this into a 9-episode show? What's going on here? All right, I'll get started on this breakdown because I have things to say about this piece of shit show. But before I get started on that, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we always get shoved to the back of the line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. Now, before I get started real quick on the breakdown, I want to say one more thing. When I went into this episode, because last episode, I didn't mind. If you go back and you watch my breakdown and review over here, I actually didn't mind. But this episode, man, this episode was just, I mean, talk about toxic. The writers, like I said, Jessica Gao, she really she's just really a crappy person for writing this episode, because like I said before, I don't think she likes women along with men, or herself. I don't think she likes herself either. All right. So and I went into this episode, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in with a positive attitude, and try to be, look for all the good things. And I'm going to try to like this episode. I failed miserably because they failed me. Okay. Sorry, I just needed to get some caffeine to get pumped to do this because, wow. Okay, so it starts off with an invitation, a wedding invitation, a wedding box. And I just want to say right now, one, this wedding invitation was fine in the sense that, I get it. You're excited about your wedding, and it looks tacky right there with those, hot glue gunned flowers right there. But it was fun. I got a little bottle of champagne. I hope that is. But it had a lot of glitter. Nobody likes glitter, you guys. Glitter is messy. Cleaning it up is next to impossible. Nobody likes confetti, all that nonsense. Nobody likes it. Don't do it. But at the same time, it was a fun little thing. Do the thing. If you want to do stuff that falls out, like, look at all this crap. She's going to have to clean that crap up. Inconsiderate. But if you want to do something that like comes out of your invitation, do those little butterflies that you wind up with the rubber band and they float around. Buy like 3 or 4 of those and put those in there. So she gets the invitation to be a bridesmaid to her friend Lulu. Lulu is an asshole. Man, what a total cunt. Okay, so then not Jen, what's her? Nikki comes over and she's getting her ready for, she's like, getting her ready for the wedding and all that stuff. And she's kind of excited about it. She's like, I got to dress in my clothes and look all good and everything. And I'm like, see, Jen's feeling positive about herself, even though she doesn't want to be a bridesmaid. Who wants to be a bridesmaid? Whenever I get asked to be a groomsman, let's be honest about this. You don't want to, but you do it because you love the person that's asking you. And you just go with it. You pay for the tux, in my case, the tux. You go, you buy a gift, you go to the reception, you have a good time, and then you go home. And and if you keep getting asked to a bunch of them, it's like, whatever. Anyways, so Nikki is all into I called her Amelia last episode, and that is not her character's name because anyways, but the other lawyer chick, what is her name? Crap, it doesn't even matter, but I just want to see, it says Amelia on IMDb, but we're just gonna look it up real quick. Crap. Okay. Anyways, it doesn't even matter. So she's all like feeling the other lawyer lady. I need to look this up. I'm sorry, you guys. I need to look it up. Why do they give so many Mallory? Okay. So she's feeling Mallory. I didn't know Nikki was a lesbian, but she's feeling Mallory. And then this is where she breaks the fourth wall and she's all like, the self-contained wedding episode. And I'm all like, oh. So she shows up in her dress, and this is fine. It's like, whatever. And again, the CGI is not the best in this episode, but I'm like, whatever, it's fine. Whatever. And see, all her friends are like, your ass looks amazing and everything. She's like, thanks and everything. Then Lulu pops out and she's all like, you cannot be the Hulk at my wedding and steal my thunder. And she's like, oh no, I would never. And she's like, you've got to promise that you won't be She-Hulk, because everybody's gonna be like looking at you, not looking at me. And she's all like, oh yeah, I promise I won't be She-Hulk for your wedding. So she's walking through and she still looks nice in this dress is a little bit too big. And there she's all like, who am I going to be, do I not have a groomsman? And she's like, oh no, you're going to be walking with Jonathan. Like, oh my God, Jonathan is great. These women are cunts too, because they knew what was doing with this and they didn't say anything. This is what I'm talking about. These women are toxic. These are not her friends. And why would you write this? Why would you do this? Why would you do this? I do not know anybody that is this mean to a person. I don't know anybody this mean. Anyways, okay. So she's like, Jonathan's great. And she's like, oh, great, and everything. So she's happy about Jonathan. I'm all like, yay, Jonathan. She gets to meet a dude. So back at the lawyery stuff, they're talking to this guy. Now, this is the Immortal. Now, I was like, this sounds familiar, but this only sounds familiar because everybody thought that Luke Owens, or the Owens guy from Loki, what's his face? Owens. Oh, no, Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson thought that he was going to be the Immortal. But this is the Immortal right here. Boom. And he's from the comics. And basically he just can't die. Yeah. So he's the Immortal. I might bring that back up. So then they're talking about how he can't get into a relationship and he can't understand women and all this stuff. And then so I was all like, huh. So I looked up the Immortal, right? Because I was like, let's find out some info. And the Immortal is actually in a loving relationship with Dinosaur. And this is her right here. She's not the hottest thing on the planet, but whatever. And they are in a loving relationship. Here's another picture of them. He's hugging her. I'm not sure what's going on here. But because the bubbles are all gone. But look at this. I was looking at this. She's there helping him out after he's been hurt. Hold on. I just want to show you a couple more. Here they are laying in bed together. This is obviously a loving relationship. And instead of portraying that, they completely just were like, screw it. We're just gonna Oh, let me bring back this picture so I can get rid of it. They're like, screw it. We're just gonna make him a man that womanizes. He's a womanizer because he basically, when he's not feeling a relationship anymore, he bails and he kills himself. He ends himself. But he's immortal, so he just regenerates and comes back to life. And they're like judging. He's like, I thought as a lawyer you weren't supposed to judge me. And they're like, oh no, we can judge you. We're just supposed to defend you, kind of thing. And I'm like, so these two start. I don't know what they're talking about here, but he can't handle it. So he jumps out the window and regenerates, and he gets up, and then he walks away. And I'm all like, yeah, screw you guys. Yeah, Jessica Gao, I hope you never get another job after this, especially this episode. You are just you hate everybody, including yourself. You hate yourself, I can tell. So she's walking through here. Lulu, this asshole, she's like, hey, I totally haven't caught up with you. How are you doing? And she's like, oh, it's great. I'm working at a law firm, actually, the head of this department. She's like, no. I meant, like, are you dating someone? Are you seeing someone? You got a boyfriend, got a husband, whatever? And she's like, no. And then these two hooers is all like, hey, Edward or Jacob. And she's like, you guys drop it. And she's like, well, I dated both those actors. I'm like, okay. By the way, the Jacob guy is from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I just want to say that right now, where I live. Anyways, so then Titania, of course, is there because, she can't, just fuck off. She's all like, hey, she's like, why are you here? And she's like, I was invited by this guy and everything. And I'm all like, yeah, this guy thinks he's going to get some from Titania, but he's not. And it's I'm like, look at him with the little bow tie and his hopes and everything to get some of that. Yeah. I mean, she should throw him a pity fuck if it was me. And anyways. And then Lulu's all like, oh my God, Titania, you are here. Oh my God, my wedding is gonna be so amazing. You have so many businesses. She's like, I do. I don't know what she says here, but it doesn't even matter. It's like nothing. And so she leaves. She goes out here and she's eating these chocolate peanuts, or nuts or whatever. And then in comes Josh. Now, I just want to say something. I don't trust Josh. I don't trust him because I was thinking about this. Now, while I was watching the episode, I was all like, oh, this is really nice. She's meeting a dude. But then I started getting my screen grabs for it. And I was like, and I started writing some stuff down because I was like, I don't trust Josh. And this is why. Because Jessica Gao is writing this episode, or at least this writer's room is writing this episode. And so far, everybody in this episode has been not nice to Jen. And I'm all like, Josh is no exception because we want it to be the exception. I wanted her to be happy. She found a dude that was into her, not into She-Hulk. And I want to talk about who he probably is later. So then he talks about how he wanted to confront a hot chick at the party or whatnot. And she's like, oh yeah, you succeeded your goals. Funny little banter right here. Like I was like, when I first watched this episode, I was like, oh, I love their little meet cute. Listen, I've said it before in videos and I've said it in my Stargirl video earlier today, but I love, whenever whenever my wife introduces me to somebody she works with and we meet her husband, I'm like, how did you guys meet? Tell me your little love story. Because I love love. It's my favorite thing on the planet. I just, nothing's better than being in love. And so I love their little meet cute, but it's going to be bad. Anyway, so Lulu comes out. She's like, some of the staff is quit because of the way I'm treating them. So can you just like clean up some of this stuff? And I'd have been like, no, maybe try not to be an asshole, Lulu. Maybe that's the thing. And then she's like, Josh, I need your help inside. So then we go back to the Immortal with all like 40 of his wives, and they're all upset because he offed himself and they spent a buttload of money. And they're like, how did you find this out? And they're like, it was this video on this website called Intelligentsia. Now, we'll go to it, but let me just explain. Intelligentsia, I don't think will have a huge deal in the MCU. I think it's just this one episode because they wanted to be assholes. So Intelligentsia is this organization of supervillains. And it's got Mr. Sinister in there, MODOK, who is showing up, the leader who is going to show up in the new Captain America 4 movie, and then MODOK will be showing up in Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, Ant-Man 3, Quantum Mania. I think Kang is in here too. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're just basically the Legion of Doom, but for the Marvel universe kind of thing. So that's Intelligentsia, and we find out later it's just a toxic blog or what. It's like a toxic Reddit, although Reddit's pretty toxic. Anyways, so she's like, and we saw a video of him regenerating himself, and so they're like, we're gonna have to do this. So he ends up, I did like oh gosh, what's her face? Mallory. I did like when she was like, and then they all turned around. I like that. I was like, I like you, Mallory. I like Mallory a lot. So then back at they're talking about what what they need to do to make this all go away. All these little harlots they just want money. That's all they want. And I'm like, just pay them off then. That's what I would do. So then back at the wedding, these ladies, they're like whispering and stuff, and I'm all like, oh, what's going down now? And they're like, they wrinkled their shirts playing like Fortnite or whatever, and they're like, you're on ironing duty, and they give her the shirts to iron. And I'm all like, what? I'm like, Jen, get the hell out of there. These bitches are not on your team. They're not on your team. They're on Team Lulu, and Team Lulu sucks. So she has to iron these shirts, which if it was me, I'd have been like, tell those assholes to iron their own shirts because they're grown-ass men, and I am not their mother or their maid. Anyways, and she's like, this is Jonathan. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. No, I've never been to a wedding where a dog is involved or a cat, like in Meet the Fockers. Never been involved, and this is ridiculous. Or Meet the Parents. I would have left right then and there if I was Jen. I'd have been like, nah, fuck this. I'm out. Fuck you, Lululemon. Fuck you, bitches. Fuck your shirts. Fuck all of you. And then I'm going to take Josh home and fuck him. Anyways, although Josh is bad. I know he's bad. And all these bitches knew who Josh was, and they didn't give her a heads up. These are not her friends. These are not even people that like her. And they didn't tell. Why would you not tell your friend or a person? They're not treating her like a human. Oh, I'm so angry about this episode. I need to go right on Intelligentsia. Anyways, so they're all upset and everything, and he's offering them his Apple stock and gold bars. But then they start arguing among each other because this hooker right here is all like, why I spent 13 years with him. Why should I have to get the same amount with this woman? She only spent 3 years old just because she busted out a kid. And she's all like, I have to take care of my child. And she's like, why do I have to pay for your mistake? And she's like, a child that's not a mistake. And I was like, you know who writes shit like this? People who don't have children. I bet you Jessica Gao, she doesn't have a child because she wouldn't write a line like that. Nobody with children writes shit like that because children are a joy, not a mistake. And it's obvious Jessica Gao, her ovaries are dried up because, she's, a career woman. Anyway, so I'm sorry. I'm just really mad right now. So I'm not even taking it out on the show. I'm giving it its just desserts it's just rewards because this episode sucks. Anyways, so her cousin, of course, is the DJ because, reasons. So she's in there and she's like, give me a drink. And he's like, you're gonna have to pay for it because it's a cash bar. Listen, I understand weddings are expensive, you guys, but you could do beer and wine and pay for that shit. Like, yeah, that's what you should do at your wedding. If you can't do that, I get it, but then maybe you shouldn't do a reception. Just saying. Or like, have a party at your house, but buy the alcohol. Yeah, it's I don't know. So anyway, so she starts going into high gear and drinking a lot. I think Jen's an alcoholic. She drinks an awful lot on this show, like an awful lot. So she's dancing, and I know some of you are going to be all like, oh, because what's that kid's name, that big YouTuber that he's such a shill and such a nut hugger of everything Hollywood. What is his name? It's like Super Dan or something like that. I can't remember his name. You know who I'm talking about. He's such an asshole. But he was all like, oh, if you didn't like the twerking, you're not going to like, future episodes of this show. And I'm all like, no, nobody's minding this because this makes sense. She's dancing at a reception. That's what happens at receptions, asshole. And the twerking thing, I didn't have a problem with the twerking thing because it was true to form with the comic books. Because if you read the comic books, and I should have got some screen grabs here or some pictures to show you guys, in the comic books, Jen becomes a party girl when she becomes She-Hulk because she's making up for lost times because she was such a nerd in high school and in college that she's making up for lost times and being a party girl. And she ends up getting fired because she Xeroxed her butt on the copier machine, and her boss fires her because he's all like, and she's like, how do you know it was me? And he's like, it was a color printer, and you're green. But they're just, that twerking scene that made sense in the context of if they were going more towards the comic books, but they weren't. They just put that in there because reasons. They wanted to waste CGI instead of putting in more She-Hulk into this episode. Anyways, so I'm back at the lawyer office. Nikki and Mallory are not helping out the Immortal at all. They're not doing their jobs. So they're giving these ladies everything that they want, including eye contact. Sorry for 20 seconds of eye contact. I'm like, oh, okay, I'd pay for that. I'd just be like, all right, you only get, a couple hundred and some eye contact. So then they're feeling good about themselves, which I'm like, okay, whatever. So then Josh comes over and finds a drunk Jen. I'm so surprised that they didn't have him date rape her. I'm so surprised because this show, it wouldn't have surprised me if they did. That's how far this show is going. All men are bad. And if you're a man in this show, you are toxic, no matter what. These women have no good men in their lives whatsoever. So he's like, flirting because he's a bad guy. And he thinks he's like, I think you're pretty great. Not even if you are not She-Hulk right now. Look at that face he made right there. I think, see, that's, yeah. Anyways, so she's like, oh, it's coming. He's like, he thinks he's going to turn to She-Hulk, and she's not. She's going to throw up. And then Titania comes out, punches her in the face, and she's all like, I knew it. And she's like, of course, I told you this wasn't over. She's all like, turn into the She-Hulk so I can beat you up, so I can look good. And she's like, and so she tries to turn into the She-Hulk, but she can't because she's so drunk. She's like, oh, I forgot. I'm not sure if this will manifest into anything, like, yeah, but and we'll talk about that later, but I don't think I'm not quite sure if it will or not. I think I think Josh is going to manipulate her and get her blood that way because it's all about her blood. So she turns into She-Hulk and she pounds the floor, knocks Titania inside. She goes in there and he's like, hey, yeah, and everything. And then they start fighting. So hold on. And he's like, wedding fight. And I'm like, stop announcing. Oh, meow, 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 meow. Stop announcing that shit. So they start fighting. She knocks her into this dude. I'm telling you right now, if this was a comic book, Titania would have killed that man or broke some bones because she's a supervillain and she's quite strong in the comic books. This is just bad. Anyways, so she gets up and they're all taking pictures. So she runs and she slips on some ice, knocks and she's like, my Venus. She's like, oh, are you getting this for your 13 Instagram followers? And then she's like, I'm taking this. It's wearing socks. And I'm all like, what? So then Lulu comes in. She's like, Lulu, I'm so sorry. I know I promised. She's like, you're the Hulk. The Hulk is at my wedding. And I'm like, what? So then these two hookers are on Intelligentsia. I'm so annoyed right now with this episode. And they see this video, but then they also see this right here. Slutty She-Hulk. And so they're trying to open up. So they create an account, but it's one of those, if you've ever been on one of these things, they do have, like, I've been on a couple of them because it's like, I'm on one that on Facebook where it's like, it's a bunch of memes and they're like, they ask, the question that they asked before you could be accepted into the group was, do you get offended very easily? And then they put in there, like, they're like, if so, we won't accept you because, this, people can post any meme they want. It's like a meme site and everything. And none of them are too bad, but I can see how some people might get upset because some people are weak. So anyway, so they create an account, get accepted in there. And then they're looking at this, and it's when a Hulk, when you a Hulk, but you still dumb. And I'm all like, oh, that's so horrible. Someone just shoot She-Hulk. You can't, because she's a Hulk. Can't shoot her. You got these memes, when you a Hulk, but you still dumb. What's equality? She wants you to pay for dinner, which is not true because she paid for those drinks during episode 2, 3. Wears yoga pants, mad when you look. That's true. That's true. You can't stare and everything. It says guilty of dressing like a man. That is 100% true. I have complained about her look for this whole freaking season so far. That blue dress was nice. They need to dress her more crap like that. Anyways, and how do we swat She-Hulk? You can't, because she's and everything. And then this last one, how do we kill She-Hulk? And she's like, we need to call Jen and tell her about this. She's like, nope, she does not need that stuff in her headspace. She needs to be left alone. So then Nikki, like a moron, calls her anyways and leaves her a message about the whole thing. I totally thought when she was driving, she was going to get hit by another car. Anyways, so then she's drunk. So she's eating these french fries that Josh got her. And she's like, did we eat the spot? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, all right, I'm coming in for a dips. And then we bail out where right here in this corner, you see the thing right there. Their conversation going on. I'm like, who's recording this? And then you come over, you got a picture and all this other stuff, and it says microblood LVS. I don't know what that is. And then you get a text from, is the next phase of the plan ready to go? Hulk King. And who is Hulk King? Well, I told you guys like 2 episodes ago, during episode 3, the one where she went on all those dates, that Todd, in the end credits, look at his face right there. He just looks like a little creeper. It said Todd Hulk. Todd is Hulk King. That's who Hulk King. And Josh, his little minion, is a part of the Wrecking Crew. Because if you guys remember, this guy is wearing a mask. And I was going to do it where I put like them talking side by side so we could see if their voices sound the same. But I didn't have time for that. And I got stuff to do today besides make this video. So I couldn't do it. But Josh is a bad guy. He is manipulating her, and he's a part of the Wrecking Crew, this crappy Wrecking Crew, which so stupid. This was the dumbest freaking thing. So silly. Anyways, so Hulk King is Todd. Let's pull up Todd one more time. Todd, and he's a part of Intelligentsia, although I don't remember a Hulk being a part of Intelligentsia, but who knows? Or maybe he's not a part of Intelligentsia. Maybe he's just, I don't know. Anyways, so then we go through, and there's that bent needle from 2 episodes ago, this one that Josh had. And it's placed on the side, and then they replace the needle, and then they close the box, and that's where the episode ends, because they're trying to get Jen's blood. Because if you remember from The Incredible Hulk, that's how the leader who is going to be in Captain America 4, he turned Emil Blonsky into Abomination using the Hulk blood, because they used a super soldier serum kind of thing to turn him into Emil Blonsky with super soldier, like he could run and stuff and everything. And then he got all his bones broken and then he healed back together. And then the leader shot him with the Hulk blood that they had, and then he turned into Abomination, if you remember. So I think that's what's going on, is they're going to get her Hulk blood. Todd is going to turn into Todd Hulk. And then that's going to be the big baddie at the end, a toxic incel man, because, like I said before, Jessica Gao hates men. The writer's room hates men. This show hates men. But yeah, that's my breakdown and review of this. I know I maybe I didn't go hard on this. I didn't go hard enough, in my opinion. This episode sucked. This show sucks. I hope the writers never get another job writing because they're not good at it. And yeah, I'm kind of annoyed about this episode. Like, you wasted an episode, you wasted time, and you wasted a waste. Everything is wasted. Everything is wasted. All right, you guys, that's my breakdown review of this episode. Tell me what you guys think about this episode. Did you like it? I don't see how. Did you not like it? Good. You know, yeah, just tell me what you guys think. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go hit that like button. You know, I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys on my next She-Hulk breakdown and review. You guys have a good week. Bye.